In the depths of space, in a solitary space station, Dr. May Sullivan was in pursuit of her own discoveries. Light years away from Earth, May's mission was to gather information about unknown planets and potential life forms. She sat at a desk surrounded by large screens in the control room. Around her, the soft hum of various machines programmed for different tasks could be heard. On the left side of the room was the laboratory where May spent her days. The lab was filled with various analytical devices and microscopes. On the right side was the living area, small but comfortable, with a bed, a few personal items, and a desk lamp. May's eyes were focused on the waveforms appearing on the screen. The white, flickering lines represented radio waves coming from the depths of space. May felt increasingly isolated due to communication difficulties with Earth. For her, these discoveries were a way to maintain her connection with humanity. The days were monotonous, collecting data, analyzing, and reporting results. However, one day the routine was broken. An unexpected signal was detected on one of the screens. A flickering waveform appeared on the screen, capturing May's full attention. May excitedly looked up and moved closer to the screen. She put on her headphones and started listening to the signal. It contained a series of incomprehensible sounds. At first, it sounded like static, but upon careful listening, she noticed that these sounds had a certain pattern. "What is this? A signal?" she muttered to herself. She worked for hours to decipher the signal. The symbols appearing on the screen indicated a language she had never seen before. The signal was both exciting and eerie. This could be the discovery she had been waiting for a long time. However, understanding what the signal meant and where it came from was a challenging task. May began analyzing the frequency of the signal. Among the waveforms, there was a distinct rhythm and repeating patterns. This could be an attempt at communication. May's heart began to race. Perhaps this was a message from another civilization. As hours passed, May's mind was filled with possible sources of the signal. Was it coming from a star system? Or from an undiscovered planet? The language of the signal did not resemble any language she knew. This situation increased both her curiosity and anxiety. As the night progressed, May's loneliness disappeared for a moment. It was no longer just her and her machines. Somewhere in the depths of space, she was trying to connect with another being. This thought gave May both courage and fear. Finding out what or who was behind this signal could be the biggest mission of her life. While May tried to decipher the signal without taking her eyes off the screen, she did not yet know how this unexpected event would change her life. But one thing was certain. This signal would mark the beginning of a new era in her solitary journey. May had lost track of time while working to decipher the signal. She had spent several hours analyzing it but needed more information to find a solution. She took a deep breath and rubbed her eyes. The silence in the station helped her focus on her thoughts. However, this silence was abruptly broken. A noise came from the outer perimeter of the station. May jerked her head up and rushed to the control panel. The screens showed activity. A ship was detected approaching the station. May quickly went outside the station. As she stepped on the cold metal ground, she could feel the chill even inside her spacesuit. She looked up at the sky and saw a ship preparing to land. 3 people emerged from the ship: Captain Alex Turner, Engineer Sarah Lee, and Communications Specialist David Wong. May didn't know them, but teams from afar were usually well-intentioned. May greeted them in surprise. "What are you doing here? I wasn't expecting another crew so far out." Captain Alex replied with a serious expression on his face. "Communication with Earth has been cut off. We came to check on you. Also, we detected a new signal. We want to investigate it." Sarah, standing next to the ship and surveying the surroundings, said, "This signal is very strong and complex. We've never seen anything like it before." David joined them and added, "Is it something we can communicate with? Or is it dangerous?" May was both surprised and relieved by the presence of the new team. She had been alone for a long time, and this isolation had begun to affect her mental and emotional state. She was no longer alone and now had people to help her with this discovery. May explained to them how she had discovered the signal and the data she had gathered so far. The team returned to the station to analyze the signal. May showed the signal's frequencies and waveforms in the control room while Sarah and David listened intently. "This signal is not man-made," May said. "As I work on it, I'm discovering more foreign symbols and languages." Sarah set up her data collection devices and added, "My devices are measuring the energy of the signal, and it's linked to a very powerful source." David, examining the symbols on the computer screen, said, "We should try to communicate. It might be a distress call." Captain Alex spoke thoughtfully. "First, we need to understand exactly what the signal is. Communicating without knowing if it's dangerous could be risky." May heeded Captain Alex's warning and decided to delve deeper into the signal's source. As the team continued their analysis, the station's lights flickered for a moment. Then, a warning sound was heard. The computer spoke in a monotonous voice. "Energy fluctuation detected. Source unknown." Captain Alex quickly stood up and called out to the team, "Everyone, be on alert. This could be a malfunction or we could be under the influence of the signal." May and Sarah tried to locate the source of the energy fluctuation while David continued to monitor the signal with the communication equipment. During this time, May realized how crucial it was to uncover the mystery behind the signal for both herself and Earth. She was no longer alone and had a strong team with her to solve this mystery. This new discovery could change all of their lives. As the team gathered in the control room to analyze the signal, May shared the data she had collected about its source. On the computer screen, the signal's waveforms and symbols were displayed. The data May had gathered highlighted the signal's complexity and power. "This signal is not man-made," May said, looking at the screen. "As I worked on it, I discovered more foreign symbols and languages. It could be a message from another civilization." Sarah, glancing at the data analysis devices, added, "My devices are measuring the signal's energy, and it's linked to a very powerful source. This energy source is far more advanced than any technology we know." David, listening to the signal with the communication equipment, said, "We should attempt to communicate. It might be a distress call." However, deciphering the exact meaning of the signal was proving difficult. Captain Alex carefully examined the signal's waveforms. "First, we need to understand exactly what the signal is," he said. "Attempting communication without knowing if it's dangerous could be risky." May continued analyzing the signal's frequencies. The symbols appearing on the screen seemed like fragments of an entirely unfamiliar language. Each symbol appeared to carry a specific meaning, but deciphering these meanings would take time. May realized she needed more data to understand the signal's language. Meanwhile, the station's lighting flickered once again. A warning light began to blink on the control panel. The computer issued a monotonous alert. "Energy fluctuation detected. Source unknown." Captain Alex immediately sprang into action. "Everyone, be on alert. This could be a malfunction or we might be affected by the signal." May and Sarah headed to the lab to locate the source of the energy fluctuation. May used the lab's equipment to scan for energy sources, while Sarah utilized a portable device to monitor the energy. "We need to find the source of this fluctuation," May said, looking at the data analysis device. "If it's connected to the signal, it could be dangerous." David, continuing to monitor the signal with the communication equipment, reported, "The signal is still active. However, the energy fluctuations might be affecting the signal's strength." As May and Sarah worked to pinpoint the source of the energy fluctuation, an unexpected sound from outside the station caught their attention. May removed her headset and listened intently. "What was that sound?" Sarah looked outside and said, "It seems like there's some activity out there. We might need to find the source of the signal." May turned to the team and made a decision. "We need to go outside." We have to find the source of the signal and gather more data. The team gathered the necessary equipment and stepped outside the station. As they walked on the cold metal surface, the silence of space surrounded them. However, this silence was disrupted as they neared the signal source. The air around them began to vibrate, and the signal's strength increased. After a short walk, they noticed a small light glowing between the rocks. May approached the light with excitement. "What's this?" "A device." As they got closer, the light grew brighter and the air around them started to shimmer. May's device picked up strong signals. She carefully retrieved the device from between the rocks and showed it to the team. Sarah examined the device and said, "This is definitely not man-made. But who, when, and how brought it here?" May suggested they return to the station to analyze the device. This device must contain some kind of transmitter. If we analyze it, we can understand the source and purpose of the signal. Back at the station, May and Sarah took the device to the lab. The device appeared to be small and of alien technology. The symbols on it were unfamiliar. When May opened the device, she found a transmitter inside that emitted a low-frequency signal. May connected the transmitter to her computer and began analyzing the signal. The screen displayed a series of indecipherable symbols. David, examining the symbols, said, "These symbols, they seem like a language, but they're difficult to decipher." May continued working to gather more data and decode the symbols. "We need more data to decode the signal," she said. "This could be a significant discovery for us." The team came together to decipher the signal and locate its source. This mysterious message could change their lives, but it also came with potential dangers. The team needed to stay alert at all times. May, Sarah, David, and Captain Alex ventured outside to locate the source of the signal. They progressed through the cold and silent environment of the space station, moving in the direction where the signal was strongest. The deep silence of space surrounded them as they stayed close together, each holding data collection devices. A small light between the rocks caught their attention. May followed the signal from her device toward the light. It was bright and mesmerizing. As they approached, the air around the light began to shimmer, and the signal grew stronger. "What is this?" "My mirmiret." "A device." As they got closer, they realized that the glowing object between the rocks was indeed a type of transmitter. May carefully picked it up and showed it to the team. "This is definitely not man-made," Sarah said. "But who, when, and how brought it here?" They returned to the station to analyze the device. May and Sarah took it to the lab. The device appeared to be small and of unfamiliar technology. The symbols on it were unknown. When May opened the device, she found a transmitter inside emitting a low-frequency signal. May connected the transmitter to her computer and began analyzing the signal. The screen displayed a series of indecipherable symbols. David, examining the symbols, said, "These symbols, they look like a language, but they're hard to decipher." May continued working to collect more data. "We need more data to decode the signal," she said. "This could be a major discovery for us." At that moment, they noticed some movement outside. May and the team quickly went outside. The air around the station was vibrating, and they were encountering technology they had never seen before. A type of energy source was glowing between the rocks. May approached the energy source with excitement. "This technology is beyond anything we know," she said. "It might be the source of the signal." Sarah, using her device to monitor the energy, warned, "The energy source is very powerful. Approaching it might be dangerous." Captain Alex carefully examined the surroundings. "How did such a powerful energy source appear here?" he asked. "This can't be a natural formation." Just then, a shadow appeared behind them. The shadow belonged to a slender, tall entity. May squinted at the shadow. "Who's there?" she called out. The entity slowly stepped forward and approached the team. Its eyes were shining brightly. May took a step toward the entity. "You. How do you know my name? How did you get here?" she asked. The entity began speaking in a strange language. "May, help, please." May couldn't hide her astonishment at the words. The entity's voice was a plea for help. "Time? Are you trapped in time? What do you mean?" she asked. The entity raised its hands and took a step toward May. May cautiously touched the entity's hands and briefly felt a connection between two worlds. The entity began speaking more clearly. "Trapped. Time. Lost." May released the entity's hands and knelt down. Okay. We'll find a solution. Just give me more information," she said. At that moment, a loud explosion was heard from the back of the station. Captain Alex quickly turned and shouted, "What's happening?" The team rushed to the site of the explosion. A section of the station had been damaged, and energy fluctuations were increasing. Sarah started monitoring the energy fluctuations with her device. "The explosion might have increased the signal's power," she said. "We need to control the situation before it leads to further danger." May turned to the entity and asked, "How can you help us?" The entity raised its hands, creating an energy field. "Energy. Balance. Salvation," it murmured. As May worked to stabilize the energy with the entity's help, Captain Alex and David began repairing the damaged sections of the station. The team worked quickly and carefully to balance the energy. May approached the entity and said, "We'll help you. We'll do whatever it takes." The entity looked at May with a sorrowful expression and waited silently. May felt that solving the mystery of this enigmatic entity was crucial to their mission. As the team worked to resolve the source of the signal and energy, they knew that more events would unfold around the station. This encounter was the beginning of an adventure that would change both their lives and the entity's fate. May, Sarah, David, and Captain Alex gathered in the control room of the station. The team was doing everything they could to understand the source of the energy fluctuations and the being's message. However, time was running out. As the signal's power increased, the station systems were sustaining more and more damage. "We need to locate and stop the source of this signal," said Captain Alex. "Otherwise, the station will become completely non-functional." May turned to the being and asked, "You said you could stabilize the energy. You need to tell us exactly how you can help." The being raised its hands and created an energy field. "Energy. Center. Control," it murmured. The energy field created by the being began to stabilize the energy fluctuations in the station systems. David looked at the data analysis devices and said, "The energy field is reducing the signal's power. But that's not enough. We need to find and completely shut down the signal source." Sarah, checking her device that monitored the energy source, added, "The energy source becomes more intense as we get closer. We need to reach it." May turned to the team with determination. "Are we all ready? This might be our last chance," she said. The team gathered their equipment and headed outside the station. In the cold, silent space environment, they began moving forward. May tracked the signal with her device. Sarah monitored the energy fluctuations, while David and Captain Alex carried necessary materials to repair the damaged sections of the station. After some time, they came across a large energy source among the rocks. The energy source was a glowing blue sphere surrounded by unfamiliar symbols and technological structures. "This is definitely the source of the signal," May said. "But we don't know how to stop it." The being moved forward and approached the sphere. "Energy. Control. Follow me," it said. May and the team followed the being to the sphere. The being began to perform a kind of ritual around the sphere to manipulate the energy field. The energy fluctuations within the sphere started to decrease. May watched the being's movements carefully and monitored the energy levels with her device. Sarah suddenly shouted, "Energy levels are dropping. We're succeeding." But just then, the symbols around the sphere began to glow and a powerful energy explosion occurred around them. Captain Alex quickly ducked and shouted, "Everyone be careful! This explosion could throw us off." The team was thrown to the ground by the force of the explosion. May, as she looked around, saw that the being continued to control the energy. May quickly stood up and shouted, "We need to help the being. We have to support it in stopping the energy explosion." David and Sarah quickly joined her, directing their energy devices towards the being. May worked on stabilizing the energy flow with her device. With May and the team's assistance, the being began to control the energy explosion. The energy level within the sphere dropped rapidly. Finally, the symbols around the sphere went dark, and the energy fluctuations ceased. May took a deep breath and said, "We did it. We stopped the energy source." The being, exhausted, collapsed to the ground and gave May a sad look. "Time. Return. Path," said the being. May realized they needed to find a way for the being to return. Captain Alex used the station's communication devices to say, "We need to contact Earth. They might be able to help us send the being back." David successfully established contact with Earth using the communication device. "This is May Sullivan. We made an important discovery on the space station and need urgent assistance," she said. After a while, a response came from Earth. "May, we received your signal. We are sending help. We understand your situation and will provide the necessary information to send the being back," said the voice. May turned off the communication device and said, "Help is on the way. We can send the being back." The being looked at May with gratitude and murmured, "Thank you, May." The team began preparations to send the being back with the help of the technology from Earth. May held the being's hand and said, "We will help you. You will be safe." Finally, with the assistance of Earth's technology, the being was safely returned to its own world. May and the team watched the being disappear as they stood around the station. Captain Alex took a deep breath and said, "This was an experience we will never forget." May smiled and added, "Yes, but the most important thing is that we made a new friend and made a great discovery." The team returned to the station, celebrating their significant discovery both among themselves and in space. This encounter marked the end of a life-changing adventure, but also the beginning of new explorations.